So I was watching the Kansas City and Tennessee game, and at first I thought Cleve Blakeman was making up penalties.
After the play, personal unnecessary roughness.
But then I watched the Detroit and Pittsburgh game.
DK Metcalf had mixing it up with someone in the stands.
And I was like, yeah, Cleve Blakeman, he's a smart guy. We should start making this penalty. If there's anything that's a personal unnecessary roughness, I think with DK Metcalf, that was pretty personal. You know, I kind of wanted to see DK go into the stands and pull a Ron Artest situation. That would have been really hilarious. But anyway, he got fined 2. He got suspended 2 games. But we got the NFL draft. We got 2-round mock Monday. Let's go. It's a mock Monday, and I'm ready to rumble. I'm ready to shake things up a little bit. We got this intense mock draft. You know, there's going to be some wild things that happen in the actual draft. So let's make some wild things happen in this draft. The New York Jets, what will they do here? Ooh, it looks like they're spotlighted here. Let's get into this draft, though, here. We're starting off with the New York Football Giants. So let the games begin. And the Giants, number 1, what do, right? You trade down. That's what everybody's saying. But I'm a Jets fan, and everybody keeps trading up with the New York Football Jets. Could they be a different team? Absolutely. You know what? I'm calling bluffs out here, right? I'm pulling the poker face. I got Phil Ivey on the back roll saying, you know what? No, we're not doing this sort of thing. Or Phil Hellmuth, whoever you want to call out there, all the great poker stars, you name them. I used to watch a lot of poker back in the day when I was young. It was a lot of fun. And now with the Giants, though, would they go quarterback because Jackson Dart's not been looking good? They're probably not. Let's go get him a helpful weapon in Jordan Tyson, the Arizona State, who is enticing me to take this guy. It just comes down to the injuries, the soft tissue thing. That always is a little bit concerning. But if the Giants say, we're not worried about it, we feel confident, I think he is one of the best. I actually think he's probably the best player in this draft class. The more I watch Jordan Tyson, I do think he is arguably a top 3 player in this draft class. He looks a lot like Justin Jefferson. And I wouldn't mind a guy like that to pair along with Malik Neighbors. And if you're going to say, all right, we're going to give Jackson Dart that season, we need to also make sure that he protects himself and continue to protect him as well. But we go get him another weapon, Jordan Tyson, Malik Neighbors. That would be a pretty dang rocking a 1-2 punch battle tandem. On to the Raiders here at number 2. And hold on a second. What the heck is this thing? Your current state necessary per clickbot, cookie bot. What the heck? Withdraw my consent. I don't consent. Get me out of this. Unbelievable. PFF, they're watching us out here. Yeah, I'm telling you, they're probably getting all these analytic feedback. So even Jordan Tyson at number 1. Is this guy crazy? I'm going to block this guy. Unbelievable. I'm going to get ads now from PFF pulling, he put the Jordan Tyson out here, Mike Tyson and the Tiger. But on to the eye of the Tiger and the Las Vegas Raiders. What is there to say? Genty was awesome this week. Geno had a couple of bad throws. That was that one to Stingley. It was basically right to him. Besides that, he had some really nice throws. And Geno, that's the thing. The offensive line has been so bad. People put a ton of blame on Geno. At the end of the day, it's not all on him. This football team needs a lot of help. But their defense did play a lot better this week as a unit. And I'm going to still say quarterback is the thing that they're going to go after. You're picking top 2. There's a likely chance next week where the Tank Bowl is being played here versus the Giants. Can't wait for that. Actually, I'm really excited for that game. But I'm going to go quarterback here for the Raiders. It just makes the most sense. I'm going to go with Dante Moore, quarterback from Oregon. He's not my number 1 quarterback. Neither is Fernando Mendoza. Spoiler alert, I know. And look, Moore, Mendoza, they're very good quarterbacks. I like them. I think Moore has a little more upside. I think Mendoza has a higher floor. Which guy do you want to go with? Well, that's always up for interpretation. I think Moore, though, we're going to see throughout this playoff predicament between Mendoza and Moore, it's still going to come down to who looks better in the playoffs on who goes first and ultimately ends up being the number 1 overall pick. On to the Browns at number 3. Ideally, I would love an offensive tackle here. That is a big area for this football team. KT Leverston is a penalty magnet, and they need help for sure. I do like Maui Noah, but I'm not going to take him here at 3. I think the value would just not quite make sense. So I'm going to go ahead and look at the other option for this football team is finding another weapon. And finding somebody who can be a chain mover would be really, really nice. I love Mekhi Lemon. I'm a huge Mekhi Lemon fan. And that's where the disconnect's going to have. I get it. You got Carnell Tate out here. He's fantastic as well. I love Carnell Tate. I think he's a top 10 player in this draft class very easily. But I am higher on Mekhi Lemon. I'm going to go with him. I look at him and I say he's a little Bob Sanders playing offense. I love the way he plays. He can get open. He's a really fluid route runner. He is so tough after the catch. Good luck getting this guy down. He's strong. He's physical. He goes up and play at high points better than you would think. Yeah, do you worry a little bit about press coverage? Possibly. You know what? Nowadays, I'm not as worried about that. You can scheme him a little bit. He's just going to be a dangerous weapon. And then we go on to the Jets. At least our defense played better this week. Our pass rush is still very much non-existent. It was definitely better this week. I wouldn't be the shocked if the Jets did not go quarterback. I really wouldn't. And they say, let's improve this defense because, yeah, once again, we have no defense right now. And part of it is our defense is injured. AZ's out. So, yeah, you lose him. That's tough. I think that we really need to look at pass rush, as I said before. That is a critical area. It wouldn't make a lot of sense maybe to go Arvell Reese or Rueben Bain or whatever, right? But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go quarterback. I'm going to go with my quarterback, number 1 in this draft class. And here's the thing. He's not on the simulator. So I'm going to say that right now. So a lot of Jets fans are going to look at this and be like, you're going to do a double check and be like, what the heck is he doing? Is he on crack? Is he Dave Chappelle right now? Sprinkle a little crack on him and he get out of there now. But no, I am in love with Brendan Sorsby. I stick with this through and through. He may suck. He may go into the NFL and be a complete bust. And he may transfer this season and may end up going to the 2027 draft class. I think he's still going to declare. I would say it's 50-50 right now. But when his grade comes back, when teams start seeing how thin this quarterback class is and how many quarterback needy teams there are in this draft, I think he's going to get a first-round grade. And to me, he's going to come out at the end of the day. That's where I'm at with Brendan Sorsby. So we're going to put in we'll go ahead and put in where's Diego? Here he is. Let's put in Diego Pavia. That'll strike up some people who are just skipping through. They'll be like, oh my gosh, Diego Pavia. That would be pretty wild. Just imagine Diego Pavia in the first round. I love Diego. He's a great guy and a great player and everything like that. I wouldn't mind the Jets to get him maybe in the 7th round or something. Obviously not in the first round. But that's going to be Brendan Sorsby right there. I still think he's coming out. That's my opinion. Yes, it's crazy. I'm a Jets fan, so it is what it is, and that's why I feel comfortable doing this. I just think Brendan Sorsby is going to be the best quarterback in this draft class. What else is there to say? I love him. I'm a huge fan of him. The arm talent, the athleticism. And yeah, he doesn't have the scheme isn't always perfect and conducive to projecting to the NFL and stuff at times. There's a lot of go balls or short hitches and things like that. But what I see on Brandon Sorsby's film, I just think he's just such a good player. And you're comparing it to guys like Fernando Mendoza, who's going to go right here to the Arizona Cardinals. Like, Mendoza's super talented as well. I love Mendoza. I'm a Hoosier guy. I'm a Hoosier grad. I mean, what he's been able to do for this football team and change obviously what they've been able to do even last season in IU has been awesome. But right now, being able to win a Big Ten championship, compete for a national championship now, Mendoza, he's an accurate quarterback. Those back shoulder throws that he has is arguably the best in college football. Him and Elijah Surratt or Becker and have that combination. Like, it's insane. So I love Mendoza too. I just think that his floor maybe not as high as someone like Brendan Sorsby. And I do think there's a lot of like parallels between him and Jared Goff. And at the same time, while that's good, and that's also a little bit of bad too. I think Sorsby can be a top 5 quarterback, top 3 quarterback. I think Mendoza is more of your 7 to 15 type of quarterback that will win you football games and be a championship competitive team. But you're going to need a complete supporting cast to really elevate the roster for a guy like Mendoza. And that's fine. Like, again, most quarterbacks, you're going to need a roster. Even Patrick Mahomes, you need a roster. That's what we're seeing. Oladokin, we'll have to talk about him in a little bit. But anyway, on to the Tennessee Titans. And the Titans' Cam Ward had some insane throws this week. Oh my gosh. He had a couple of insane. That one back throw, that was an incredible. And L.A. Manor and Jamar DK continue to be studs out there. Jeffrey Simmons, even though it wasn't his best like pass rushing game, he was phenomenal. Once again, Jeffrey Simmons, all-pro this year. Easy. If he's not an all-pro, I rebel. He should be first-team all-pro. Best defense tackle in the NFL right now. I'm just going to look at right here, staring at me on the board, Arvell Reese. Yeah, that one to me makes the most amount of sense here. I could also see Carnell Tate, but for right now, even offensive line too, it's still something they need to address. Maybe you get Maui Noah, put him inside a guard. I'm not going to take a guard here at number 6, so that's why I'm going to go with an edge rusher here in Arvell Reese, and that would be more of his role out there off the edge with Olafemi Oladejo, a little young combination. And then we go on to the Commanders, number 7 overall. They had a chance there versus the Eagles, but really that Will Harris illegal contact penalty was kind of a big one for sure. This one, to me, is pretty self-explanatory. The areas that I would be looking at would be, not that area, not that left side, but I'd be looking at either Caleb Downs or a wide receiver. Those are really the two Or edge rusher. Yeah, I mean, Rueben Bain would not be off the board here either, especially if you're looking more of like a positional value sort of thing. I'm going to go ahead and take a wide receiver. I still think that you got to get more offense out here. That to me is a big thing. And I expect Debo, there's a good chance he's not back. He's just been too up and down too this season. So continue to invest in the wide receiving room. Carnell Tate, a big area for them to continue to capture some better offense going into next season. Like their run game's been pretty good this year. So you can build some more momentum, get another outside target. Carnell Tate just makes a lot of sense here to me, even though I think they may end up going on defense side of the ball. And I would love Caleb Downs. I think Downs would be a fantastic pick for them too. On to the New Orleans Saints here at number 8. Tyler Shuck continues to be pretty dang impressive, who beat the New York Jets. I was kind of biting my fingernails that entire game. I'm like, please, please do not win this game, New York. Yeah, especially after that Taysom Hill fumble early in the game. I was like, oh no, this is not good. This is not good. We have a problem. But actually, Taysom Hill played a good game after that. Between passing and running the ball, played really tough because obviously injuries and everything like that. They've had to rely on Taysom Hill running the football with Audric Estime. Also, the Jonas Sanker had a phenomenal game. Sanker was a beast. He was everywhere out there. So they've got some young pieces. This New Orleans Saints team is looking better and better. I still think their cap situation, they got to get this thing under control. But for them in the draft, what I'm looking for here is I would just simply say like wide receiver would be something I'd look at now. All 3 of the top wide receivers are off the board. So I'm not reaching at this moment. Instead, what I would do here, I'm going to draft Francis Mauigoa from Miami to put him inside at guard. Hey, I think Fuaga could play guard too. And he's been injured quite a bit too already. So I think offensive line, Cesar Ruiz, you need to move on. Put Mauigoa in there. It just, to me, makes too much sense. They have to continue to improve their offensive line and get a more consistent run game. They've actually been okay at getting some push. So I don't want to like completely harp on them. Partially been running back injured a lot this season too. I think Devin Neal's a guy though. I really do. So when he gets back healthy, that'll be a nice piece. But continue to ramp up that offensive line and make that a strength. On to the Bengals here at number 9. Joe Burrow. Of course, that conversation revolves around Joe. What happens? Does he get traded this offseason? He's been a little unhappy, and I get it. I really do get it. And maybe they say, all right, we're gonna try to figure this thing out once and for all. In terms of what I'm gonna do here, I think it's gonna be Caleb Downs. That's what I'm gonna do here. Just add in an impact defensive playmaker that's gonna be an impact day one for this football team, because safety is a problem. And Geno Stone had another bad game. I thought Jordan Battle had a great game, but they need somebody else in there. And Caleb Downs is a superstar waiting to unfold and bring a ton of problems there in the AFC North. On to the Miami Dolphins at number 10. Quinn Ewers. It was okay up until that third quarter, and then all, blank broke out. I don't know. It was a disaster. Third quarter. Between the penalties, too. Oh, my gosh. It was just, what? I mean, seriously. Actually, these two teams just playing each other. They're back to back, and we can talk about that game. But, yeah, no. Cincinnati, they went off in that third quarter. Joe Burrow was throwing it up to T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, and they were connected like it was unstoppable. Chase Brown, just entire defense fell apart for the Dolphins, and turnovers, fumbles. It was just a lot of disaster for Miami. Turnover after turnover, and then defense couldn't stop anything there. So at number 10 for the Miami Dolphins, so many different areas that this team could go after. But what I'm going to do here is they're clearly going to be looking at quarterback of the future. We're going to go take Ty Simpson right here to be the quarterback of the future. And yeah, I don't know. Quinn Ewers, I guess I want to see a little bit more with Quinn Ewers, but I expect Tua. I actually think they're probably going to give Tua another chance, just because more than likely what's going to happen is Mike McDonald's going to get the axe. That's my guess, at least. So that's the reason why I'm struggling to take a quarterback for the Miami Dolphins here, is just because like they have so many other needs on this roster that I don't know if a quarterback's going to fix these problems. So you know what? I'm talking myself into this. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just simply going to go and take some help on the defense side of the ball, because they really, really need it. Go and take Avion Terrell, cornerback, Clemson. I think Terrell's probably one of the safest cornerbacks in this class. I just think he's so physical that if nothing else, like he's going to provide a great slot corner at worst case scenario. And Marshall's had some decent plays and stuff, and I think he could be a guy for them. But Jack Jones, Rasul Douglas, both free agents. Maybe they bring back one of those guys. Douglas has been pretty good. I think Jack Jones has been up and down. He's had some rough games. He's had some good games this past week. Not so good against. I mean, it's tricky when you got to go against T. Higgins and that height, and it's easy to get Moss and stuff. But generally speaking, I think Terrell is a fantastic corner. And overall, some of the size limitations, sure, but I do think he's going to be a really good player. In the bloodlines, man, of course, that physicality with both of those guys, because I think AJ Terrell is one of the most physical corners in the NFL, arguably the best tackling corner in the NFL, and I think Avion's also got that trait to him. On to the Rams here, number 12. Number 11, pardon me, misspoken. It's this little thing that's bugging me down here. I can't get rid of it. It keeps spying on me. It's looking at me, and I don't know what it is. See, it's got those eyes. See those two eyes? I better put my shades on or something like that. I don't have any shades, but I better buy some because it's staring right at me right now. But on to number 11 in the Rams. Do they go quarterback here? Do they go Ty Simpson? Who, I guess it would make sense if he's a little bit raw. You draft him here, you let him develop, you let him sit behind Matthew Stafford for a season. And I do think there's a really good chance that they end up taking a quarterback, right? I mean, they're going to be looking to the future. Even though Stafford's playing unbelievable, he's going to end up retiring at some point. So getting the quarterback of the future would make sense. Simpson. I know everybody's talking about Ty Simpson. Oh, the resurgence of Ty Simpson. So I'm going to do the same thing. Hey, I'm a creature of habit. What can I say? Simpson he looked better. As the game went along, he played better. I still think he's kind of like J.J. McCarthy. He is a J.J. McCarthy type of draft pick where I believe in him as a person. I think he's going to be able to, he's going to put all the work ethic in it. Obviously, his dad's a coach. He's got that background. And once again, all the intangibles check off there. Does he have an elite arm? No. Does he have elite mobility? No. But he's got enough mobility there to be able to kind of evade pressure and stuff like that. And he continues to be able to manage that offense really, really well and make big time throws. Receivers got to catch the football. It's been a problem for Alabama right there. I'm going to go and take Ty Simpson here for the Rams. On to the Kansas City Chiefs at number 12. They need an impact, whether it's wide receiver, whether it's edge, you name it. They need an impact at one of those positions in a major way. I think I lost how many counts. I guess offensive line too could be something we'll look at. Tackle. I guess Eddie Pole's been okay. He's just been a penalty magnet. That's been a problem. They got Godric playing out there too this past week, and once again, he wasn't terrible either. So we'll see how things go and how they're going to work out those contracts. I imagine Juwan Taylor gets cut this offseason, and maybe they'll rely on Moore to be their right tackle going into next season with Simmons. So this would come down to two positions for me here also. Jeremiah Love, Rueben Bain. Those are the two players that I would be staring at. Even David Bailey would make a lot of sense too. At this case scenario, we're going to go with the position that is a little more expensive. I'm going to go with Rueben Bain Jr. coming off the edge. They need some help there. They need a guy that can win one-on-one a lot more consistently. Yeah, George has been good, but they could use somebody else. And Rueben Bain makes so much sense here. You bring him in there with Big George Karlaftis, and then you could go ahead and move on from Mike Dana, save a little bit of money there, and that allows you some money, too, to be able to spend on a running back in free agency, maybe get a Travis Etienne, somebody like that would be awesome, and help out that run game and Patrick Mahomes while he especially comes back. Oladogan, I thought he played okay. It wasn't bad. He had some nice throws, actually. I thought he was pretty accurate on some throws. We'll see how that comes along, right? Maybe a team will trade for Oladogan at some point. On to the Dallas Cowboys, number 13 overall. And for the Dallas Cowboys, secondary. We're going to continue to bolster the secondary. I do think Ravel is going to be a good addition over the long haul, but they still need to replace Diggs. Bland hasn't been great. Let's put him in the slot. Put Bland in the slot. Let's go get an outside cornerback here. And Jerry's affinity for injured players, so let's go ahead and check Jeremiah McCoy. Look, he's a really good football player, and if it weren't for the ACL injury, we'd be talking about this guy as probably a top 5 pick in this draft class. So there's that. And you take a chance here, I guess, on a potential player that could be a superstar corner and add in a beast there onto the Baltimore Ravens at 14. And Cowboys fans play. Yeah, we knew that was coming anyway. Baltimore, they had a tough little loss there, and New England coming back. I thought Derrick Henry played a great game until he had that fumble, which really sucked and kind of changed the tides there, a little shift in the momentums. Of course, Lamar Jackson getting injured doesn't help. Their offensive line needs some improvement for sure. Not that they did a terrible job. I thought they actually played a pretty good game last night, but that is something we could look at. The pass rush, though, needs help. They need a pass rusher. We're going to look at David Bailey here to bolster that pass rush up for sure. On to the Vikings here at, where are we at now? 15. Oh, dang. We're almost halfway through this first round. Okay. Vikings at number 16. Oh, yeah. Skull, by the way. And for the Vikings, yeah, I am just going to go ahead and lock this one in here. Jeremiah Love. You're probably sick and tired of it, but it just makes the most sense to me. Jeremiah Love. Okay, here's another thing that I could see. I could see this team going in a lot of different ways, to be honest with you. And what I mean by that, like, I could see them going after a defensive lineman here very, very easily. You could either find your long-term pairing with Jalen Redmond. You could find yourself an edge rusher here for my edge rusher's fine because you got Dallas Turner still coming along. I mean, even though Bernard contract's coming up, but Van Ginkel's been amazing. They can work out something there. So linebacker looking pretty good. Eric Wilson's going to get an extension this offseason, I'm guessing. Cornerback could be something they look at. Safety, if Downs was here, absolutely, I'd be looking at safety here too. But I think Love just makes too much sense. Center, I'm not taking a center here at number 15, so we'll go ahead and rock in Jeremiah Love, as boring as it may seem. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you're at 16 overall. Well, Tampa Bay, a lot of areas they need to improve upon. I'd say they need more pass rush. They need to get after the quarterback. I think Todd Bowles is going to be gone after this season. One of the worst play calls that I have seen in a hot minute. I mean, the game in the second half, okay, at the end of the first half, in the second quarter, with 10 seconds or 12 seconds, most teams, like literally everybody, is just going to throw it to the sidelines to waste time, right? Like that's what they do. They're just trying to throw it out of bounds to waste time. Todd Bowles like, you know what? I'm going to send a zero blitz at you. Bryce Young's like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to throw it deep. Oh my goodness, easy touchdown. Coker's there. Oh my gosh. And Jamel Dean's a good corner and everything like that. But why? They're literally going to throw it out of the bounds to kick the field goal, and you choose to run a zero blitz. I'm sorry, Todd. I love you and respect you and everything. But yeah, that was a little bit mind-boggling to me. We're going to take Sonny Styles here with all that shenanigans and talking shada. And I think that he is the absolute ideal pick for this football team if he falls to that's a run at the table scenario. It just comes down to he's an off-ball linebacker where, linebackers may go later in the draft, but he's a beast. On to the Detroit Lions here, number 17 overall. They need offensive line really bad. I mean, they need it so bad. We're going to take one here. I am going to go, and I know they're looking at Caden Proctor. Like, oh, man. Oh, he's our guy. Alabama, left tackle, a brute. Let's get him in receiving packages. He's going to be our Dan Skipper replacement, right? I mean, I'm sure that's what they're saying. It is tricky because Lomu's a left tackle, and he could be their Decker of the future, especially if Decker does retire after the season. I like Fanu too. It comes down to what you want to do here, but I'm going to go ahead and take Lomu to be the left tackle of the future. I'm still a little higher on Lomu than Fanu. I like both, though. I think they're both really, really talented guys. And, hey, I could see the argument. You say Fanu, let's put him inside a guard. Really good football player in that. And maybe Lomu's not going to be their guy once again because he doesn't maybe have that run blocking tape. But I actually think he'll be a better run blocker when he gets to the NFL. I don't know. I just see it when he gets his. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Bernard Raymond in many ways, and some of those guys, those athletic guys that maybe has some stiffness, but he's a good mover out in space. On to the New York Jets here, number 18 overall. And for the Jets, back on the clock, where our first pick, we got Diego Pavia. No, I'm joking with Brendan Sorsby, but hey, Pavia, it'd be wild, wouldn't it? Jets would say at this point, wide receiver. I would say defense. Any edge rushers available? Peter Woods, Keldrick Folk, all these guys. Caleb Banks, really nice options all on the board. So I'm just going to take the best available guy, and we're going to go and I think Phillips could get an extension. They're still trying to work on that. Phillips was kind of like, oh, we'll see what happens out there. And I don't know, but you got Breaks, who's really good. Woods would be a nice pick. Folk, obviously a big pick too for them. I'm going to go ahead and get Peter Woods here. Let's go ahead and rock him up onto that defensive line. On to the Carolina Panthers here at number 19 overall, where I still think edge rusher is a pretty big need for this football team. They did a pretty good job with some blitz and stuff. I thought they did a very good job at getting after the passer there. So I got to give E.J. Avero credit on the defensive scheme. And the Bucs offense line's been a disaster too. Oh my gosh, that's another whole situation with that Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. Anyway, I do think I'm going to look at an edge rusher here. If Sonny Styles was available, I'd go Sonny Styles. But I'll go ahead and rock in Keldrick Folk here. I think it's just kind of best player available at this point. On it to, or at least at a position of need for sure. Pittsburgh, number 20. Well, quarterback, I'm not taking a quarterback here. There's just nobody. There's nobody that I'm taking that I feel confident. Trinidad Chambliss, right? I mean, Chambliss is a fun player. I think he's a day two guy at the moment. But besides that, there's just not a quarterback that I'm looking to take here, especially Darian Mentz is coming back to school, so we're not going to go that route. I'm going to go add in some much needed help at wide receiver. Denzel Boston, the Washington wide receiver who, yes, you're going to want to see some of the agility scores and stuff like that, some of the speed scores with Denzel Boston. But every time I watch Boston, I just kind of get a little higher on him. He has the explosive juice, and ultimately, I do think he can create separation. Like when I see him go one-on-one, 9 times out of 10, like he's creating enough space for himself, and his hands are just so strong. I'm not saying they're Puka Nakua level strong or anything like that, but man, they're strong. They're really strong. So I like him, and we're going to take him here. On to the Cowboys, back on the clock at 21 overall, where safety is definitely in play here too. I'll wait until the second round to go after a safety. And I think I'll look on the offense side of the ball, trying to find some help on the offense side of the ball is going to be the thing that I go after here. We're going to find that right tackle of the future and move on from Terrence Steele if you want, or you can figure things out. But Spencer Fanu going to be their right tackle now, rocking that edge rusher. Just feel like with where it's gone after, there's nobody here that I feel comfortable maybe taking at this point. So I just felt like best player available was Spencer Fanu. Fanu on to the Philadelphia Eagles at 22, where hey, they could use offensive line. They could use a Caden Proctor, right? And I don't know. Maybe they have to start thinking about Lane Johnson a little bit more. The future there, possibly, right? Maybe they invest in a guy like Caden Proctor. It definitely seems like a Howie Roseman type of thing, right? I wouldn't be shocked about it for sure. I'm just gonna go ahead and take Kenyon Sadiq here. Staring me at the board, and really good tight end. He's an unbelievable weapon as a playmaking wide receiver, tight end, whatever the heck you want to call him. And he's also a good blocker, despite he doesn't maybe have the tough inline duties. So you can make some arguments there. Is he a true inline blocker? Maybe not at this point. I still think he's going to add more muscle mass to his frame. But he's a really good technique guy, and I think he can develop into more of that guy as well. If the Eagles really need him to be, you can always sign a cheap veteran who can be a good blocker if that, once again, is a huge concern going into it. I just think Sadiq, what he brings in as a receiver, is definitely something this team, Dallas Goedert, has taken a bit of a step back this season, and in a contract year, he's still fairly good, of course, but he's had a couple more drops than you normally see from Goddard. That's just one thing I will say. Houston, number 23. And I know offensive line, everybody's talking about the offensive line. Their offensive line actually has been better. I think Trent Brown, I don't know. I have to take a look at that injury report. I did see him get injured in the game. So I don't know the full. Saw him. It was like going for the leg there, the ankle. Hopefully it's not like an Achilles or anything like that. Really not easy to see because he's helped stabilize that offensive line. Blake Fisher had to kind of move in and out there, and he even had to play left tackle, I believe, for Urshry a little bit. So offensive tackle, offensive line, still very much in play. Like a guard, you can put Howard back over at right tackle maybe next season. You say, let's get a guard. Even if they re-sign Ed Ingram, guard is a huge area of need. And I totally get that. It makes a ton of sense. It's probably going to be the area that they end up going after. I mean, hey, I don't mind them if Jeremiah Love was here, but I don't think that's going to be the play, especially since you got Woody Marks. And if Johar Jordan, that'd be a 1-2 punch, not too bad, if you know what I'm saying. So we'll see how things go there. But I think the areas to watch out for: safety, I think defensive tackle, and of course, offensive line, which is the route we're going to go here. We're going to go get Vega Ione from Penn State, just be a plug-and-play starter for this football team. Moving on to the Buffalo Bills. Here we had a tight game versus the Cleveland Browns. Shador Sanders played a decent game. He had a couple of missed passes, some tip passes, and stuff like that. So I would say for the Bills, got to continue to look at the offense here maybe. And wide receiver would be like the top thing that I would be looking at. Concepcion chose to not have a very good game at a pivotal time, of course. So it's going to leave a little bit of a sour taste. And so Marcel Reed had a rough game, so there's that. I mean, the offense in general, field goals were a disaster. Oh my gosh! And of course, the Pat McAfee kick, just brutal. That wind. Best case scenario, I'm just gonna go get offensive line. We're gonna go with Emmanuel Pregnon here, be a plug and play starter at left guard. David Edwards, a free agent. Connor McGovern's a free agent. Likelihood is they end up losing one of those guys. So let's go ahead and fill one of those positions up in there. Little slot, fill it up, boom, fill it up, baby. Let's go. On to number 25, Francisco 49ers. You better not beat the Indianapolis Colts tonight. I want Philip Rivers to win. I'm sorry, 49ers fans, I'm sure. But I think the Niners going here into this draft could look at wide receiver as well. Now, with Chris Bell and his injury, I'm not going to go ahead and take Chris Bell here. And Concepcion maybe falls to more of a round 2 guy at this point. So, receiver class, it does thin out a little bit. I mean, there's some guys to watch out for, like Antonio Williams. I think could end up catapulting himself up to a round 2 pick. I think maybe Bernard's fallen down just a little bit here. He's maybe more of he did have one nice catch there in that game. But anyway, I am going to be looking at improving the pass rush, and I'm going to go get Caleb Banks, the interior pass rusher over at Florida, to bolster that up some more and just add in a big monster there. Well, he's going to be that pass rushing monster, right? So you got West, you got Collins. Now you got to get that pass rushing guy in Banks. Now we go on to the Chargers, the Bolts, and whoo, Chargers, man, they're so well coached. They really are. The defense, they love some more explosive plays versus a tough Dallas offense, but they just kept slicing and picking apart that Dallas secondary one by one. And boy, oh boy, Quentin Johnston, it's like, oh, wow, throwing a laser from Justin Herbert or Lad McConkey or it was back and forth. And then, it was just getting everything rolling and Justin Herbert playing fantastic right now. At the end of the day, the offensive line actually did a pretty good job. I still think, though, offensive line's probably the top thing that they have to look at going into this offseason. And ultimately, that's where I expect them to be looking. But there are other areas like defensive tackle, maybe finding a pass rusher type to go along with Caldwell and Tart. And Tart played another fantastic game. Edge rusher, if they don't re-sign Odafe Owe, that certainly could be in the cards here. Cornerback, it wouldn't shock me, right? I mean, maybe they go cornerback too if they want to continue to address that. And that definitely would not surprise me there. And Mansour Delane would be a fun little pick there. Colton Hood as well, I think would be a fan. Keith Abney. Yeah, I mean, I really wouldn't hate any one of those picks. Cam Hart, I still think is a pretty good corner. He has his moments and whatnot where he just maybe doesn't quite reel it or doesn't quite see it here and there and allows a wide receiver to make a big play. And that's kind of what happened at times this week. But overall, I think he's been pretty good. Dante Jackson's been pretty good, of course. And I mean, he's had his injury history and contract. So those are things you have to watch out for there. But Tarheeb still. So their cornerback room, I mean, it's definitely something to watch out for with the cornerbacks still on the board here. I wouldn't be shocked if they said, you know what, let's go and go after it. But I'm going to go ahead and take Caden Proctor here to play a little guard for them. And just feels like a Harbaugh Roman type of guy, a big, bad monster in the middle. And no one can whoop him right now. That's Muhammad Ali. But I'm going to go ahead and rock him up on that offensive line. Let's go on to the Browns. They're back on the clock. Their first pick. We got Mekhi Lemon and all the controversy. But now I'm going to go ahead and take a look at offensive line for them as well. I think Gooseby makes a little interesting scenario here for this football. They didn't need the best offensive lineman available. Like whether they need tackle really bad for sure. But let's go ahead and take Gooseby, select him in here, file it, done, signed, sealed, delivered. The post office is awaiting the mail. Will it get there by Christmas? Yes, it will. On to the Rams, back on the clock. We went quarterback. We went Ty Simpson. Oh, God. The Simpsons out here. Where's Gomer? Where's Homer? I don't know, but we're going to the new addition here for the Rams, and we're going to go take a corner who's still available. Mansour Delane is on the board. We're going to rock that one, and yeah, there's another one that I think would be an easy pick for this football team at this point. Bears. The Bears, they got to win. They control the division now. The NFC North is in their hands, and now with this pick, I want to get pass rush, because they need it. They need it bad. And who do I want to go with? Even though if Cassius Al may not be their type of player, I don't care who's their type of player. I think he's the best pass rusher. I'm taking him. Scheme fit? Who needs scheme fits? On to the New England Patriots here, number 30 overall. And New England, what a great comeback game that was. Woo! Drake May, when it mattered. First half, he looked a little shaky. Looked a little rough. It didn't look like an MVP performance, right? Missing some passes and struggling a little bit here and there. But then, boom, right? Yeah, I mean, I thought some of those throws, he was on the back shoulder. He put him too much to the inside. I'm like, oh, you got to hit him on the outside or this and that. And then the second half comes along. Layer deep ball to Kyle Williams or, oh, Matt Collins over the middle of the field. Let's get to that backside dig. It was incredible, right? And really good game by Drake May in that offense. Ramondre Stevenson had a heck of a game too. So I got to get a shout out, especially with Hendo going down there with a concussion, I believe. So yeah, he was in the tent and they got it going there. So I would say with this pick, still think pass rush is something to watch out for. besides that, I mean, offensive line could be something they continue to ramp up, of course. But I am going to, in this case scenario, let's improve the pass rush here. That to me, yeah, I mean, what other positions could be looked out for? I mean, yeah, I think that makes the most amount of sense for me. Is there anybody that I absolutely love here on the board? I mean, yeah, I like Mateo Iangale. I know TJ Parker is going to get a lot of hype and stuff like that, but I'm a Mateo guy. I need to continue to see how he does in the playoffs and stuff like that. But I think Mateo Iangale is a little bit of an underrated football player, and I do like his game a lot. Simply put, I'm just going to take the guy that I'm highest on here, Mateo Iangale. On to the Broncos here, number 31 overall, and they had a tough game on defense for sure. Like, Riley Moss missed a ton of tackles in this one. He played good in coverage. I thought he had an excellent game in coverage, a couple of PBUs. Just couldn't tackle and cost them big time on a couple of plays. Trevor Lawrence was picking up apart. And got to give credit to the Jacks, man. They had a fantastic game, and they got some turnovers in key areas. But in terms of draft need, I don't think that there's anything like absolutely glaring that this team has to address this now. But they're going to have to start future-proofing some things like the offensive line, the defensive interior, things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and just take this guy right here, Caden McDonald. He'll kind of be the long-term DJ Jones type of guy, so he'll rotate in this next season. And then the year after that would be more of like the replacement type of year, possibly for Caden McDonald going into 2028 and beyond. So, yeah, I mean, defensive tackle, too, is a position that typically takes a season to really get acclimated in the NFL. So while DJ Jones is still under contract, it would make sense to start thinking about that defensive line and continue to make that thing a strength to strength. On to the Seattle Seahawks here, and Seahawks, man, wow, they they got some fortunate stuff happen in that Rams game because I still think the Rams are a better football team, but a lot of things tipped the right way. Let's just put the scales tipped the right way in that game. Still can't believe that 2-point conversion. Oh my gosh, that was one of the craziest things I've seen all year. I am going to be taken. Yeah, I think we'll go ahead. Offensive line, corner. Those are the two areas I'd be looking at here. Right guard / cornerback. Well, I think it's interesting. We'll take a corner here. Let's go ahead and rock in Colton Hood. Maybe not the biggest need, but certainly could be something that they address with Reek Wallen likely out the door, right? And them trying to move on. On to the Giants, second round selection here after going Jordan Tyson with their first pick. And I know no trade down, right? Giants fans will automatically rage, right? I don't blame you. I'd be raging too, I'm sure. But as I said before, look, I don't know. It's so difficult to give in offers and stuff. Like, I don't want to trade up if I'm another team. Not in this draft class. I don't want to give up draft capital for the future. So that's kind of where I'm at. You know, it is what it is. It's I'm like pinching myself to have to do this sometimes. You know what I mean? With this one though, here we got that wide receiver, as I said before. I would say this: it's offensive line would be the area I'd be really seriously considering here. The player that I'd be looking at here, probably Austin Sherfield to play right guard. Yeah, I think that's probably what I'm gonna do here. I mean, corner, if you let go of Flott, like they still could use some help there. I mean, Adebo did a nice interception. He's played okay. He's not, definitely lived at that contract. So there's that. So that's why I'm gonna just go and take offensive line here. Continue to make sure Jackson Dar, we have a better run game and a better pass protection all around. Hey, I mean, Cam Scatterboo will be very thankful here to add in Austin Sherfield, who's a really good run blocker. On to the Raiders. They need offensive line too. This is kind of a must throw. You got Dante Moore. Who's going to protect Dante Moore, right? We got to make sure we get some help out there. And yeah, I'm in total agreement here. The only thing I will say is there's been quite a bit of run on offensive line. So that is one thing you have to consider at this point. But do I like a guy that is available here? I mean, there's a couple of guys to consider there, but I just can't pass up with a value on one of these safeties, right? I just think this is too good of a player to pass up for one of those offensive linemen who I think could be a little bit too boom or bust for me. I would simply say use your cap dollars because they've got as much as I think they have the most amount of cap dollars in free agency right now at their disposal. So go pay some offensive linemen. You have to, especially if you're going to get a rookie quarterback. If you want the biggest impact, go get some offensive linemen in free agency. Absolutely still a draft need. 100% agree. Rodgers been okay, though. So at right guard, maybe got a spot locked down. They need a center. I mean, even though Jackson Powers-Johnson would move into the center position, right? So, no, they don't need a center. Need a left guard. Need a right tackle. Colton Miller's coming back, so they'll be fine there. I'm going to take Dylan Thieneman here from Oregon. We're going to go back to Oregon. We're going to take the two Ducks, right? So you got Dante Moore, you got Dylan Thieneman, little Oregon Duck pairing in for this Raiders draft. Now we go on to the Cleveland Browns. We've gone wide receiver. We've gone offensive line. And now I think we look at some cornerback depth here. Possibly would be something to consider. But Miles Harden, Miles Price. He's a returner, right, for the Vikings. I would say, what do I want to do? I don't mind double dipping the offensive line here. Once again, it gets a little tricky. Are we forcing an offensive lineman at this point? Possibly. You know what I'm saying? Even though they kind of need to force offensive lineman. They need 2 tackles. They need 2 guards. Me here easily. Screw it. I'm double dipping. I'm taking one of my guys. I know he's not going to go this high in the draft, but as I said before, this is a dude that I'm so high on. I think Parker Brailsford is going to be an immediate impact for whoever drafts him. So what else can I say? I'm a big Parker Brailsford guy. I think he is going to be a top 10 center in the NFL for a very long time. On the Jets, where we got Diego Pavia, Brandon Sorsby, Peter Woods here. And with this pick, I think I want to continue to address the defense. Wide receivers really interesting. Linebacker, something I still think we need some help in there. C.J. Allen would be a nice one. Our run defense hasn't always been the greatest. You know what? I'm actually going to go take C.J. Allen here. I think he'd probably be the best available player for where we're at. So between adding Peter Woods and C.J. Allen, that will really help out our defense. Wide receiver is going to be a little bit of a void at this point, but we at least have Garrett Wilson. And maybe A.D. Mitchell can work on the hands a little bit. Same thing with John Mechie. Work on those hands, and we can utilize those guys. On to the Cardinals here. And for Arizona, we got Fernando Mendoza. Offensive line is a big need here. This is a spot where I'll go ahead and take another wide receiver because this is another area that they needed. They needed some more help here. They need some dynamic weapon here. They need somebody with some speed. And I think Concepcion is the exact type of wide receiver that this football team could really use. So offensive line, in this case scenario, you're going to have to go pay some guys, go crunch out those numbers, beep, 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 and pay some dudes. And then we go on to the Titans here, where we got Arvell Reese with their first pick, and now their second pick. I'd like to get a wide receiver for sure. They also need corners, so that's another area. Actually, I think cornerback's going to be the best because we've picked apart the offensive line. And the offensive line, it's not the deepest, to be real. So there's another area where we might have to pay some players, do what you got to do, find a right guard if Kevin Zeitler is not back, / get some swing help too. But I'm going to go and snag Keith Abney II from Arizona State and get themselves some help at that cornerback position because it's been decimaled. On to the Houston Texans now with their second pick. We got Vega Ione, should I say. Even though, I know, defensive tackle is one of those spots to watch out for, but at the same time, could they just go the free agency route? It would make a lot of sense. I'm going to go grab a safety. I'll probably go grab a defense tackle with their other pick just because I think safety, I want to go grab one of these guys here. Kamari Ramsey, put up the USC guys. And he's a perfect complement, too, with Kalen Bullock. So Bullock and Ramsey as that 1-2 punch is fantastic. Yeah, they got Jalen Reed from Penn State. We'll see. He was a day 3 pick, and he could be a guy. I don't know. Anyway, I like Ramsey a lot. On to the Saints here. And with their first pick, we went after Francis Mauigoa to play guard, help that offensive line, help out Tyler Shough, right? Let's shake it out. Now, with this next pick, I am going to take a look at, what do I want to take a look at here? I think wide receiver is definitely something we could add another weapon in here with Chris Olave. Maybe we take a chance on Chris Bell. This is a team that could go ahead and say, all right, we'll be patient, right? Let's take the upside. He'd be a first-round guy if it weren't for the ACL injury, and they don't need him to come in right away. So I'm going to go Chris Bell here and the upside. Now we go on to the Bengals here at 41 with their first pick. We got Caleb Downs to be that safety. Kyle Hamilton, who just had another fantastic game. But we're going to be that Swiss Army knife in this division that they're a little jealous they need, right? And now what I'm going to do is, maybe Reisner comes back. I still think tackle of the future is something to watch out for here for this football team. Mims has played better, so I'm happy about that. And obviously Reisner's really stabilized that. Fairchild's been pretty good one-on-one, but he still has the awareness issues where it's he'll lit up some free runners and stuff like that. So he's got to get better in that department. So he's not had the greatest couple of games, but overall I think that Fairchild's been a pretty good rookie for this football team. And I think he's going to be a long-term left guard for them. Obviously Karras is under contract. It just comes down to what do they do with Blake Miller. Offensive line, though, still something I would be looking at here. Maybe Isaiah World, depending on how he does in the offseason process, could be a pick here for them to develop behind Orlando Brown Jr. for a season. Caleb Tiernan comes down to the arm length. The tape is really good, though, and he could be a day one starter. If they were to cut Orlando Brown, then that would make a lot of sense to go Caleb Tiernan. Actually, you know what? Let's just go and go back to Georgia. Let's go get Monroe Freeling here for that left tackle. He can be their left tackle of the future. And even if you bring back Orlando Brown Jr., who he has played better at the second half of the season, it's one thing I will say. But what you could do is Freeland could end up sliding into right guard if they don't bring back Reisner / injuries that they've had. They just need to improve the offensive line. And I want to make sure I'm getting some sort of offensive line help here for this football team. They got to run the ball more consistently too, is a big part of this. Like, it's not that they haven't been able to run the football, because they have. Chase Brown's been excellent. Sometimes I just feel like they need to get under center more. Some of the coaching stuff needs to change this offseason. Whether or not they'll do that is a whole different argument. But on to the Miami Dolphins here with their pick in the second round. I know quarterback's going to be very much on the wits and very much on the minds, but I say not so fast once again. We're going to improve the roster, because the roster is bad. It's real bad. I mean, I wouldn't say it. I mean, maybe I'm over-exaggerating just a little bit, but it's shaky, all right? It's an area that needs to be improved upon. Tight end here would make a lot of sense, but I don't know if I see anybody here at this moment. Tight end's going to come down. Like, I love Oscar Delp, and depending on how he looks in this offseason process, maybe he moves up into the second round. I do think Delp is so underrated, man. Jeremiah Franklin from Boston College. I'm going to have to take a look at him. I'm curious. Some of these guys, right? Jones pretty good. I know that from Arkansas. He could be a guy to watch out for in the offseason process. I mean, Royer's pretty good. Justin Jolie. I mean, we'll see about some of these guys. I like Trigg, but anyway, he's more of a receiving guy. I'm going to go ahead and lock in Elijah Surratt here to help improve that team on the offense side of the ball. Since we went defense in the first round, let's go get a wide receiver. And Elijah Surratt, the Hoosier, is a sure-handed guy out there on those sideline comebacks and stuff like that. So get a wide receiver. On to the Atlanta Falcons here at 43, where the Falcons didn't have a first-round selection. So what do we do here? Well, I think for the Falcons, you're looking at either wide receiver, corner of the future makes a lot of sense. Especially Mike Hughes been banged up a lot, so continue to improve that. Makes a ton of possibilities and things possibly happening for them. Maybe even at linebacker, if Caden Ellis isn't re-signed, could they look at one of these guys here? Yeah, absolutely. Maybe Rodriguez, maybe Jacob goes here, right? Who knows? I still think tackle of the future is something to consider here too, as well. Like Blake Miller would be an option for this football team. Amount of injuries that they've had. Obviously, you got McGarry coming back next season. However, long term, they gave him a contract extension. They can move on from him, though, after the 2026 season. But at the end of the day, I just think they need to add another wide receiver into that offense. I mean, Pitts has been great. London's been injured, of course. Mooney's been really up and down. He's a nice vertical stretcher and everything like that, but I think that they could really use another yak underneath threat in their offense, and that to me is Antonio Williams. So let's go ahead and get a nice tough slot weapon for this football team. They can play all over as a Z slot option for them. On to the Kansas City Chiefs here, and first round we got an edge rusher. We got Rueben Bain. So hopefully they get themselves that superstar pass rusher. They've been looking for that for a minute. Now I would say they need a wide receiver here too. Like, that's something that I still think they need another weapon. Whether it's running back, tight end, wide receiver, you name it, they need somebody here. Problem is, there's just really nobody there that I feel confident in. So I'm going to say let's take AJ Halsey here. Let's go get a safety with some range in the back end, because that is something that they lack. And Cook has been good and everything like that. He just is a free agent. I don't expect them to pay him. You got Hicks, and he's been a little up and down, especially this season. So there's that. I'm going to go get AJ Halsey in the back end to improve their secondary some more. It's definitely been an issue for this football team. On to the Jets, back on the clock here with their next second round pick. And this is our draft thus far. And again, Brendan Sorsby right here, even though Diego Pavia. Woo! With this pick for the Jets here, I'm actually just going to take Brandon Cisse. And the reasoning for it, I think he's a perfect scheme fit for what AG likes. He's going to play some man coverage. I'm not a huge Brandon Stevens guy. I know he's under contract and everything like that. This would allow Cisse to be more of a developmental cornerback for us. Second round seems a little high for a developmental cornerback, should I say. However, with the injuries and stuff, I think it makes it more of a necessity at this point. So yeah, and also in this draft class too, like you're maybe not getting impact day one starters right away either. So Cisse just gonna be the guy here in the second round for me at this point. Baltimore Ravens in the second round. First round, we got a pass rusher, David Bailey. Well, I think they need some more pass rush. They need some help on that defensive line, right? They need depth in all kinds of ways. So the guy that I'm going to target here, yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and get Christian Miller from Georgia. Offensive line, that was also a big need. Guard, definitely something on my eye here. Chase Basantes, don't mind Basantes here. Maybe not the run blocking type if they're looking for more of that guy, but he's a solid athlete and everything like that. So he certainly make Caden Green is a monster up in there. Needs to work on his technique though. I think Basantes is such a good pass protector and would help out Lamar Jackson. So that's the way I'm going to go here for the Ravens. Vikings here at 15 in the second round. I am going after the first pick of Jeremiah Love, which I know everybody's doing and everything like that, but let's join the party, right? And with this next party pick, I am going to add in a safety. Let's go ahead and get Emmanuel McNeil Warren. Will be their future Harrison Phillips replacement there. On to the Bucks. We went Sonny Styles. It's sunny in Tampa. And with this pick, hello, good morning, Vietnam, right? Or it's sunny in Vietnam. I'm going to go stare at the board and snag a pass rusher here. I'm going to go get TJ Parker from Clemson, the pass rusher that everybody seems to like but me. Anyway, I don't know. I like Parker still. I just don't know if he's a first round guy. I think he's more of a day two prospect to watch out for. Detroit Lions here. Detroit Lions, we went after a tackle in that first round pick. And now I think I want to go grab either a corner or a pass rusher. Those are the two areas that I'd be looking at. Chris Johnson's available. Oh, we got Keontae Scott. You got Diego Pons. Hey, I mean, if they wanted an Armeek Robinson type of clone, ooh, yeah, that would definitely be interesting. David Igabanosin. Bring on the penalties, right? I like Igabanosin. If he can learn to turn his head a little bit more consistently, I know he's a Buckeye anyway. Igabanosin, any passers that I like, let's go with Igabanosin here. Let's go ahead and snag him off the board. The way he's played at the end of this season has been fantastic. All season long, he's really been really good. So we'll go ahead and grab him out there on the outside. On to the Indianapolis Colts here. And with their first pick in this draft, remember, we have not had a pick for the Indianapolis Colts. So what am I going to do here? Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and look at either a linebacker of the future, even though Jermaine Pratt, I think, will get re-signed on the cheap. And he's been pretty good. Right tackle could be something. Travis has stepped in and played okay over there, so maybe they feel confident about that. Other areas to watch out for if Nick Cross isn't re-signed, which I think he'll get re-signed. If he isn't already, I guess they could invest in defensive tackles some more. So a lot of areas that I'm looking at here are more just like future type of needs. However, I'm going to go ahead and snag Jacob Rodriguez. Maybe the athleticism gets dinged, but the dude is a monster, and I can't wait to see him versus Oregon and how he lines up against that run game and that offensive line. Working through some of those guys is going to be a big part for him and how high he gets drafted. Carolina Panthers, first pick, we went after Keldrick Folk, the Auburn edge rusher. And now with this next picker, I'm going to take her. I don't know. I'm done with that one, but adding in Keontae Scott, the slot corner at Miami, the Hurricane. Could be a little of an upgrade over Chaz Smith-Wade. I mean, Smith-Wade's had his moments this season. He's not been terrible. Anyway, I just feel like they could use a little bit of an upgrade there. So Keontae Scott adding in a little slot help, a little slot magic, a little sprinkle magic up in there for that Carolina secondary. You got to go against some tough wide receivers in the slot there. So twice a year, such as Mecca Ibuka, Chris Godwin. On it to his team. I said they named the same team, but you could look. Let's see, who else do you have to go up in the slide? I mean, Chris Olave plays in and out. You look at the Atlanta Falcons; they don't really have anybody. But we did just draft Casey Concepcion. No, that was somebody different, I think. Who do we get for the Falcons, man? They got to go get Antonio Williams. So there we go. Keontae Scott. Boom, bam, boom. On to the Pittsburgh Steelers' first pick. We got Denzel Boston. And with this next pick, I think I'm going to go get a cornerback. I'm not going to get a quarterback because I know that sounds a little similar, but hey, left tackle could be something I'd consider too. I mean, Broderick Jones get a developmental guy behind him. Safety, corner, depends on what they want to do here and how they want to play things, but I'm going to go get a young corner and Chris Johnson from San Diego State and improve that secondary some more. I mean, maybe Asante Samuel they could bring back on the cheap. I don't know, I think we'll see how things go along, but I do think they need to continue to look at that secondary this offseason a little bit more. Green Bay Packers here at this point, and I think their secondary also could be something we look at as well. Now, Chris Johnson just off the board here. I think defensive tackles another area, offensive line. Those are kind of the three areas that I would target for the Packers. You're just kind of going BPA between these three positions right here. All right. Or offensive line, guard, whatever, right? That's kind of what I would say. Whether it's left guard of the future, slash if Sean Ryan's not back, then you're looking at center. You could get some competition with Jordan Morgan at left tackle. A lot of possibilities, right? And that's where I'm saying. But I'm going to go ahead and take Amari Washington to be the big fella, that run defender in the middle, help stop the run a little bit more for that team. Eagles here at number 22 in the second round. First pick, we got Kenyon Sadiq. So we can't go back-to-back Ducks here now with that option is off the board. That's okay. I think what I'll do here, take Blake Miller to be developmental right tackle, because I still think he's a developmental guy. And you can let him sit behind Lane Johnson for a season or two, and he'll be a good swing tackle for them. Fred Johnson's been good as a pass protector. They need some more help in the run blocking, particularly. Like, that's been a problem this season. Saquon Barkley and Ashton Genty are the two most hit running backs behind in the backfield in the league, I believe, right now. And I think it makes sense just watching the games. I believe it. Houston Texans, first two picks. We got Kamari Ramsey and Vega Ione. And now I got to own some more help on that defensive line, and I'm going to go get a defensive tackle here. I am going to go snag Lee Hunter from Texas Tech. This guy is a mammoth. He's a beast, right? And he can be some help on that defensive line. I know they haven't really hit on these defensive interiors, but ultimately we got to take a chance. I need to go watch Zane Durant. Somebody's telling me to watch him, so I do need to check him out at some point. But Lee Hunter going to be the selection here for the Houston Texans. We go to the Buffalo Bills. Where are the Bills? First pick, we got Emmanuel Bragnon. I'm pregnant. And we got ourselves a nice little offensive lineman to be one of those replacements for either Edwards or McGovern, whether one of those hits the mark. I think both are going to hit the market, and they'll maybe bring back one dude there. And now, on to the defense here. We need to improve, right? We need to improve the defense. So I'm going to invest in the linebacker room here, possibly, even though maybe they'll figure something out. But I do think long term, you still got to find somebody else besides Terrell Bernard. Hey, I didn't like my options. I'm not liking my options here at safety either. So I think what we're going to do here is probably just go pass rusher. I'm just going to take another pass rusher. I mean, Bo's getting older. Epineza hasn't been nearly as big of an impact. So, yeah, let's just go get a pass rusher. Let's go get Zion Young here, I think. Yeah, let's go get Zion Young. I think he'll be the next pass. Anthony Lucas is an interesting guy. He's like a traits dude. He certainly would be a developmental guy, but we'll add in Zion Young here with his pass rushing and size extraordinaire ability for the Buffalo Bills under the 49ers here, where we did get a pass rusher in Caleb Banks in the first round. Let's get some help on the offense. I do think they'll be looking at receiver, offensive line, like a developmental tackle. All those kind of areas are what I'm going to be looking at here. And I will go get a developmental tackle in Isaiah World. In this case scenario, the Oregon Duck. On to the Chargers. First pick. Oh, we got offensive line. Don't you worry. Proctor and Becton, the biggest guard tandem in the NFL now, right? That is a King Kong level interior. I know center is also something they'll look at, but maybe that's a free agency thing. Maybe they go hit up Cade Mays in free agency. I could see that, right? With this one here, I am going to be taking a look at what do I want to do here? That is a very interesting question. Would they invest in some more second? I mean, that's something I have not done, is get a secondary player, even though I think their secondary is still going to be fine and they can invest in a little bit later. And there's been a run on secondary. So I am going to grab another pass rusher here, and I'm going to get Derek Moore. Yeah, it's the Michigan connection. And they have off the Duffy away, and I think there's a good chance they're going to re-sign him, even if it's just a one-year prove-it sort of thing. My view on this is Tui Pelotu, Odafe Owe, you're still going to need some more help, even if Khalil Mack is back in that rotation. So I still think they're going to go after some sort of pass rusher, whether that's interior or off the edge. In this case scenario, I just feel like the pass rushers are a little bit better off the edge compared to what I can get on the interior right now. So that's why I'm going to go more of this route with the Derek Moore. Maybe they could find like a Zane Durant later on early day 3 or possibly even round 3 if he goes and has a great Senior Bowl or stuff like that. Anyway, that's kind of what I'm going to do here and continue to improve that pass rush for the Chargers. It's been pretty good too. It's just kind of something I think that they're going to have to continue to get younger at. Onto the Jags, and their defense has been a turnover machine. It really has been. Golly, they have been getting turnovers at a super high level. Now, in terms of draft needs for them, I would say that you have to watch out for the cornerback position because Newsome, I don't know if they're going to re-sign him. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. So cornerback certainly could be on the list. I think Colt Van Lannon has really stamped himself into that left tackle position. So normally I've been selecting left tackle. I don't think so, man. Maybe they invest in the interior for the future, but you got Wyatt Millum, and I think he's going to be one of those guards for the future. So I think their offensive line is pretty much set at this moment. The other position I guess I would be considering at is like wide receiver depth, but I'm not taking that here. And it comes down to like safety, corner, defensive tackle. They need some help at defensive tackle. So that's really the way I'm going to go, is trying to find some more impact here. In terms of who I like at this point, I think we're going to go ahead and rock in Christian Miller. He just makes too much sense here for the Jags at this pick. Rams, first two picks, we got Ty Simpson and Mansour Delane at this next pick. I will say that we will, what do I want to do here actually for the Rams? I think still going to probably look at adding either a wide receiver or an offensive lineman. I think those are the two areas I'd look at. The wide receiver and tackle room have both been kind of hit at this point. I'm going to go with Max Ihanachor from Arizona State. I could see him playing guard for them for the long haul or right tackle, depending on Warren McClendon. If he keeps playing like this, they probably have Ihanachor play guard of the future for them at some point. But Ihanachor is a guy that I like a lot. I think he's got really quick feet. He does lose the edge a little bit too often, and he's not like an insane athlete or anything like that, but I think he's got good length. He's got over 34-inch arms. Really like his game, so I'm going to go with Maxi Ihanachor here at this point. Bears on the clock now, where their first pick, we got Cassius. Ow! We got the Werewolves. Is it a full moon? I don't know. It might be. I'm feeling a little dangerous today. And now with this pick here, we got some pass rush help. Next spot that I would be looking at for the Bears. This is okay. This is what I'd be considering is either offensive line for the future. I think is probably more of like a third, fourth round need, but I wouldn't put it out here if it's best available, things like that. I think safety is where I would be looking at next off the board here. The next safety that I would say at this point would either be Bray Hubbard or Genesis Smith. Yeah, that's probably what I would say at this point. In terms of who I think they would be looking at here, I mean, Hubbard's a really good football player. If they want more of like if they're looking for a brisker type of replacement, maybe Hubbard. Genesis Smith kind of still like that too. There's not really a free safety that I would say if you're looking to have to replace Kevin Byard here at this point. So I'm just going to go and rock in. I mean, Earl Little's that guy. I guess he's got more of the range, but he has some tackling issues. So we'll have some interesting dilemmas when it comes to Earl Little, but he's a good player. I think he's probably more of a round 3 guy. I'm just going to say screw it. We're just going to take Hosea Trotter because I don't know. I think the value at this point, one of those safeties we can find on round 3. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and take linebacker instead. Now, Hosea Trotter is not currently in this simulator, so we're just going to go with his teammate. But I just look at their contracts and looking at the future, really, with guys like Tremaine Edmonds and T.J. Edwards. Well, both have been pretty dang good. I will say that. Getting Edmonds back, too, has been big for them after injury. I do think that they're going to have to get a little cheaper at that linebacker position at some point. So just finding a guy that they can develop here at pick 61, just feel like it was the overall best value on the board. Now we go on to the Patriots. Patriots with their first pick, we got Mateo Iungale. I do want to get some offense here, and the guy I'm going to look at, I think we'll go ahead and take Caleb Tiernan here to develop over right tackle. He'll be more of a swing guy early on for them, but then their long-term they can have in. And they're okay with the short arm bandits, so I'm not super worried about that, right? And we'll get Caleb Tiernan here to be that right tackle of the future. On to the Denver Broncos here, and with their first pick, we went defense tackle, Caden McDonald. With their second pick, I think linebacker would be in play here. I think that you're looking at offensive line still, somebody to develop at tackle, especially right tackle. McGlinchey's getting older now. Contracts are coming up, getting more expensive. Now, it is getting slim pickings here. I'll be honest. It is getting really slim pickings. I mean, you've seen the board here, and I'm picking at straws. Nicky Prongo is probably more of like a round 3 guy. Gettings Dunker, I think, is a guard. So I'm not going any route there. Tight end certainly could come in play here, I guess. Maybe a Michael Trigg. I will say I like Oscar Delp a lot. I'm a huge Oscar Delp fan. Maybe I got to swing Oscar Delp and piss everybody off. But okay, what is the thing about Oscar Delp that I keep getting worked up about? Because every single time I watch him, I'm like, yeah, this guy can be a really, really good tight end in the league. Ah, it's frustrating. Wide receiver, I don't know if there's anybody that I love here either. I mean, Max Clare is pretty good too. He's more of a all-around tight end there, I guess, as well. I mean, even though Oscar Delp is, I'd say Michael Trick's more of your receiving. Oh, you know what? Hey, I mean, I will say, I mean, it's the off the field stuff with Trig that you have to wonder about. But if you're talking about the Evan Ingram type of replacement and who Sean Payton might say, who is that? That gadget guy. Who's that difference maker? I think Trig could be in that mold. Heck yeah, let's go, Michael Trigg. Let's say the off the field stuff's overblown, which I don't care about all that stuff right now. But hey, we'll go ahead, Michael Trigg. I don't know. I mean, it gets slim, man. It gets not slim shady. Like I feel like when I'm gone, no carry on, just harm. I don't know who to pick, and I'm gone. Yeah, like that's the way I feel when we're getting to this point. It's unbelievable. With the Seattle Seahawks pick, let's go offensive line. Let's finish it off with that guard position that they need some more help in. Hey, edge rusher, they could use some depth there. They're getting a little bit older at that spot, so don't be surprised if they look at it for something like that. But with this final pick of the mock draft, let's go and get who do I want here? That's a good question. Ooh, I tell you, I mean, this ain't easy. This ain't not easy. I feel like I'm Jim Carrey. I'm kicking my ass. I want to go kick my. Hold on. All right, here we go. Let's go get Caden Green. He's listed as a tackle, but I think he's going to be a guard at the next level. He could be a tackle for some teams. I imagine Green Bay could utilize him in both categories. But Caden Green, that's going to rock out the 2-round mock draft. Woo! Let's go. We got it in there, man. This is it. There were no trades in this draft. I just maybe not in a trade mood today, I guess. I'm in a little bit of a I'm in the grouch mood, I guess. Bah humbug. All the Christmas. Anyway, I love it. I love Christmas, man. I really do. But here it is. Let me go and recap the second round so you can see that. Where is it? Oh, it's up here. It's hiding from me. PFF having a little bit of a glitch action. Plus, with this eye infant thing still staring at me, too. I still can't get over that. They're watching those cookies out here. I like chocolate chip, but oatmeal raisin. No, I don't like raisins. I don't like raisins and cookies. I haven't had a cookie in a long time, but here it is. There's the draft. Let me know what you think, agree or disagree. How did I screw up your team? And I know the Jets fans right now are going to be blowing a gasket when I tell them, even though it's not Diego Pavia, even though it's Brandon Sorsby, they're still going to blow a gasket. They probably blow a gasket more than Diego Pavia at this point. I just love him, man. I love Brandon Sorsby. What can I say? I think he's the best quarterback in this draft. So, yeah, hit me where it hurts, man. Let me know what you think, agree or disagree. Keep it cooling, man. Keep it rocking. Got another mock draft coming a little bit later in the week, but we do have a Houston. I'm probably going to do Houston Texans next for an individual mock draft. Then we'll do a little bit of a bigger mock draft. I'm trying to get a 4-rounder in at some point this week.